If you've been interested in medical intuition, I have Kiara on today, a former one on one mentorship student of mine who awakened her psychic abilities and her spiritual connection when she had a car accident a couple of years ago. You'll be able to see how she has opened and developed her abilities, combining both her skills as a nurse practitioner and a medical intuitive. I'm excited to have you here. You have been through many of my courses and my mentorship. I have watched you develop and grow your intuition so much over that time. What drew you to connecting more into your intuition and your abilities in the first place?
I am a nurse practitioner, medical for the last 18 years. I've always had that drawn towards the paranormal. In 2020, I ended up having a pretty significant car accident. After the accident, I started hearing ringing in my ears, sawing angel numbers everywhere, hearing my name called, saw sparks of light everywhere, and I didn't know what that meant. Of course, with after an accident, you want to make sure, something medically is not wrong. So I got checked out. Thankfully, everything was good. And I started going and doing research on what all that meant. And actually, that led me to you. And I started watching videos and researching and trying to learn what all of it meant and how I can incorporate it into my life and what it meant for me.
Yeah.
And I started watching you develop classes. And I was like, I've got to do these classes. I don't know how to tap into this. I don't know what to do with this. And your classes gave me guidance on how, what to do. So
Yeah.
it was amazing. Thankfully, I'm very grateful that you were able to offer those classes because honestly, I don't think I'd be where I am today without your classes and your mentorship.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. And it's interesting because you said 2020 you had the car accident. So many people open up through some sort of, well, it can be death sometimes for people, a passing of a loved one, pregnancy, but it seems as though a traumatic event, like for me, it was the needle numbing my face during a tooth surgery in 2018 that really can shift us into a different timeline. And so, what would you say that your life was like before you stepped into this work of developing your intuition and developing your connection?
I was stuck, I would say, in my belief systems, and it
Yeah.
really opened me up and actually calmed my energy down quite a bit to know and learn that we're not just a human body, we're actually a spirit in a human body, having that human experience and just trying to take each, I guess you'd say, each lesson in life a little bit more gracefully instead of fighting it, because
Yeah.
each lesson you learn from that and you grow from that.
Yeah. That's such a big part of this whole process is like utilizing your abilities, the opening up of your psychic abilities, which happened for you in a accident that kind of transformed and turned on your abilities, but to understand that we are really so much more than what we perceive ourselves to be at any one moment. And were you struggling before, like when you were connecting into your intuition, when you were first starting and you were like, okay, I'm seeing all of this stuff around me? Why do you think that you struggled in connecting in? What was that? Was that just your belief structures? Did you grow up within religion or?
I grew up in religion, not very strict, like Catholic or anything like that. I struggled just to trust myself and what
Yeah.
I was getting. And honestly, I think I was trying too hard, trying to just
Ah.
wait. I hear my ear ringing. What is that message? Let me wait for something to speak up really loud. And it's not loud, it's very subtle and it comes in
Mm-hmm.
subtly. And just learning how to really soften that energy to get those messages was my biggest challenge.
Yeah, that is so difficult. It's that we have this perception from TV and or social media that it's really loud and in your face. It's really, really soft and it's subtle. If you don't lean into that self-trust, you're going to feel as though you don't have that connection when you do. What is your unique way of connecting in with spirit? What does that look like for you?
For me, it's quieting my mind. I am being in medical. Your mind goes 1,000 miles an hour. Did I do these orders right? Did I contact the family? Did I see that patient? Did I put that medication in? There's so many things that run through your mind in medical, and it's busy. So to be
Yeah.
able to sit in peace and quiet and just quiet your mind and grounding yourself, just really open those chakras up spending that energy around and quieting your mind to allow those messages to come through. If not, everyday chatter in your mind blocks it from coming in because you're so busy with everyday tasks. You're not going to get it.
Yeah. What would you say then is the way in which you receive information? Are you a visual person? Do you hear? Are you utilizing all of the senses at once?
I would say mine is more visual and intuition. I feel it and I see it. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily hear a lot of things, but every once in a while I'll catch a word that will pop in. But I more so see the images and I just have this knowing. I get that sense of knowing deep inside my intuition.
Yeah. How long do you feel like it took you to go from, I don't know when you first took a course or had a session with me, but how long do you think it took you from when you first said, "Okay, I'm going to find out more about this. I'm going to invest in this," to where you were feeling confident or at least more confident to start offering sessions, practice sessions? How long was that time period for you?
I would say a couple years to
Yeah.
really hone in and trust myself. And I really didn't start doing that until I did one on one mentorship with you
Mhm.
because I was still struggling in a way, despite the classes, honestly, trusting myself. Am I getting the right information? Having you relay that back to me and be like, yes, that's exactly, I'm getting the same thing. It
Mhm.
really builds that confidence and like, okay, so I'm not making this up in my head. This is really happening.
Yes. I love that. And it really does take, I felt like for me, a couple of years to really have a strong sense of trust, because at first you open up your abilities and it's really cool. And you're like experiencing all kind of cool things, right? Like, and you can get really lost. I always say that I got so lost down Reddit trails of like, what does it mean when I see this? And they're like,
Yep.
it's a guide, it's a this, it's a that, it's a loved one. And it's so confusing. um, that the next stage of development isn't like to make your psychic abilities better. It's more like when you lean into self trust and learn how to trust what you're receiving, then it like adds the two together and it makes it really embodied and expansive. And the biggest issue that people have is in their self trust. Am I making this up? And I actually think that's good to a certain extent, because the people who have no fear and don't worry if what I'm receiving is accurate or not, or is it being filtered through my own ego, um, that kind of worries me to a certain extent, because the actual struggle of having to lean into self trust, having to make sure that you really develop yourself, is what I think makes a really good intuitive, because we care about what we say because we know the gravity that it has for another person. And I think that has a lot to do with also being a nurse. I know for me, it was like I would never want to steer someone in the wrong direction.
Yep.
And so I'm very like, let me make sure that I can lean into the sense of trust that what I'm saying is within integrity. And so how do you feel like your own, nursing background and what you do currently assist you in showing up intuitively in that kind of spiritual space for people?
It helps me a lot with patients. If I have somebody when I'm going to see them, I can enter a room and tell if they're very anxious, if they're having something going on energetically. The room,
Mhm.
I can read the room. I can definitely read it. And when I start talking to the patients, it definitely puts them at ease when I'm
Yeah.
speaking to them. And just being able, honestly, I can scan a patient's body and sense when there's something wrong.
Yeah.
I've had so many things happen to me since I've awakened
Mhm.
that I can't even explain. It's really cool. I'll scan somebody's body. It will just pop in my head an image of their lungs lighting up red, or it could be a issue with the prostate. It's lighting up red. And it's definitely guided me in helping people on a different level that I absolutely love to do.
Yeah. And with that, when you say scanning someone's body, because I have found that when I say things like I'm scanning your field, people can be like, what do you actually mean? What does that look like for you with how your gifts work with being a clairvoyant first? What does it look like when you say you're scanning someone's field?
To me, I see a 3D hologram kind of floating above their head. And
Mhm.
then my eyes, as I'm talking to them, it just goes to the right spot. Whatever's
Yeah.
lighting up in the body, it just pops up Oh, you got an issue with the thyroid. Let's run a TSH level. Oh, you got an issue with the prostate. We need to do a PSA test.
Yeah.
And just asking those specific questions actually leans me in more to allowing the patient to trust me. Hey, I'm not going to freak them out and say, hey, your thyroid's lighting up red, because some people aren't as open. So
Yeah.
just say, hey, are you having any of these symptoms? Oh, yes, I am. Okay, well, let's take a look at the thyroid. So it actually hones in for me specific areas, and I can ask patients specific questions on their symptoms, which help guide me.
Yeah, I love that because so what it is people are coming into your practice in your place of business and you're working as an MP. You're not necessarily, that's not like them booking a spiritual session with you, but you're utilizing it in your day to day life to cut through all of the kind of BS that, you got to rule everything out. And sometimes it can take so long. Even in the hospital, I was like, gosh, this is taking so long to get to the core of the matter. And the longer time a patient is in the hospital, the more chance for their infections and delirium and ICU transfers go up. And so the fact that you're utilizing it, not saying, hey, like I'm intuitively scanning you, but you're allowing it to direct the way that you are working as an NP is amazing, but you also offer intuitive sessions, medical intuitive sessions. Can you tell
Yes.
me what that looks like or like how do you merge the two worlds together in that way?
So when someone books a medical intuitive session with me, I do take an intake form, typically find out what medications they're on, because I do recommend herbal supplements to people who come to see me. That way I know if there's any interactions, because, herbal supplements, there is
Mhm.
some interaction with regular medications. And I do advise them, my medical advice that I give them does not replace what they follow with their PCP. These are
Yeah.
just my recommendations. I start off scanning their energy. Typically, I like to open their energy so I can get them to relax, do a chakra balancing session with them, get them to relax, allow their field to open up so that way I can get a clearer picture of what's going on. And
Yeah.
actually, my own illness that I had in November has opened more doorways for me. I'm actually partnering with my friend Shelby, who's also got autoimmune diseases that are going on. And we are trying to work together to create a program for people to help decrease inflammation in the body through diet, herbalism, and working through trauma and releasing that. She
Wow.
is a therapist. So we're working on creating a program to help others. She actually just had her colonoscopy done, has had Crohn's for years. For the first time in many years, her colonoscopy came back with no inflammation.
Wow. That's so amazing. The blending of those worlds. I love that. This is also what I want to say about that, Kiara, is that I have noticed that whatever we were really good with, say, even before our spiritual awakening, it's typically not just discarded to the side. People usually don't go, I'm no longer a nurse, I'm no longer this. Our knowledge base builds upon itself. And so when we add our connection and we add our own things that we've gone through, like you said, your own healing experience that you had last year as well, you get a very unique picture of how you can show up and create a very unique container for people because autoimmune diseases are so connected to, especially trauma, empaths, people who take on the energy of others and don't know how to clear it. What is the connection for you guys that you have seen as the kind of clients that you're going to be working with? Like the connection between autoimmune trauma and healing?
It's definitely there. When you have autoimmune, it's an immune dysregulation. And, for my own experience, I was in fight or flight mode for many years because of all the trauma I've been through. She also dealt with trauma. She's a Reiki healer. So she's actually just got her Reiki certification. So she's doing energy healing. I'm doing chakra balancing. She does somatic therapy for trauma release.
Mhm.
I'm working on, the other side of the immune dysregulation. What are your symptoms? What can we remove from your body that's been sitting in there for so long that's causing this immune dysregulation? I found out through all the years that I've actually had a connective tissue disorder that's genetic. I never knew that.
Mm.
And that connective tissue disorder opened me up for POTS and MCAS, which caused dysregulation in my immune system, which led me to my sickness that I had. And
Interesting.
so working together for both of us, she has Crohn's and I have this connective tissue disorder, just working together and creating a plan to, hey, let's change the diet. What causes these inflammation in the body?
Yeah.
Typically gluten and dairy. And there's different dietary factors we want to help heal the gut. It starts in the gut, a leaky gut. And how can we reduce that inflammation? What can we do to help release that energy that's trapped in there to reduce your symptoms, to make your immune system more regulated, to make you feel like you're not being gaslit by the medical community? Because that's what's happening to so
Yeah.
many people. They get gaslit because their symptoms are so random. But Western medicine, which I learned that way, doesn't address the person as a whole. And what we want to do is
Mhm.
address that person as a whole, Western medicine wise, spiritually, and energetically. We want to just help people feel better as a whole and get to being who they're truly meant to be and enjoying life, not being trapped by inflammation in the body or diseases or allowing that to control them.
That's amazing. And one thing that I have noticed with inflammation, well, one, it's like the precursor to all kind of disease is inflammation, but there's such a spiritual connection to inflammation for the empath, for the person who feels so much, and for the trauma. What if you correlated inflammation outside of just even the diet, but inflammation and connected to maybe someone's past experiences or trauma?
Definitely. I know we're still in the planning stages, of course,
Yeah.
but she's going to do Reiki sessions. We're trying to figure out, does she want to do Reiki? And then I'll do the chakra balancing to kind of check into their chakras, make sure that's what's going on. She can do somatic therapy. We're trying to come up with an 8-week, 9-week course to really hone in
Beautiful.
and fine tune it. We do have some clients that are willing to test it out. So
Mhm.
once we get those clients to test it out, we can fine tune it and come up with something that will help people on a greater scale. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely needed.
Yeah, no, it most definitely is needed. Just in my sessions that I have with clients is their bodies will show up, and it's so funny because I see it in the same way. I see it like a hologram in front of me, and when I'm scanning it, I'm just waiting for something to light up, and then when it lights up, you can pull into that space, and through clairvoyance and the sense of just knowing, it's like, what is this? And it starts with it's a dysregulation of this, but what's the actual story and the trauma being held in that, and then how's that showing up and perpetuated throughout their life? And so we can't just unlock one part of us, like just connect into our spirituality. We got to transfer that into the body. um, and so I think it's really cool that of what you guys are creating together to really give people not only healing, but spiritual freedom. But if your body doesn't match that, it's very hard. You feel very much like there's this beautiful spiritual land, and then my body is like this wreck. And so it's that reemergence back together that is that wholeness feeling that I feel like you were talking about. You keep talking about chakra balancing and opening the chakras. Where did you learn that from?
I actually learned that from you.
I wanted to call that out because I think is so important. It's the thing I teach everyone is the first session of all my mentorships. And I know people are like, I don't want this. It it was so powerful. I believe it is so powerful for energy, and just for the process of developing your abilities, but also to get your energy actually flowing so you can heal and you can connect in. Why have you made that such an integral part of your practice as well?
Because when I first started doing it, I could physically feel it in my body. And that was amazing to me. As I opened and spun my own chakras, I could feel the energy lighting up and moving. And it just makes me flow so much better when my
Mhm.
energy is flowing better.
Yeah.
If I am stuck in my head or I'm not, or my stomach's upset, I'm not going to get as great a reading as I would like.
Yeah.
So I make that a staple to really get my energy flowing right. And also my clients, I really want them to be in a more relaxed state because when you're anxious and you're like locking up, it makes it hard for me to read that energy when they're not
Mhm.
as relaxed.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I love that you do that because it also goes into the energetics behind why some people can read energy easily and why sometimes it feels like a struggle reading energy is how energetically open the other person is. And so naturally, we protect our energy and keep ourselves safe. And so the process of opening up that flow allows almost like the intuitive to be able to receive so much more information. So it's really important to create that. And it's like creating just a good bedside manner as a nurse. You come in, you say hi, you get the patient feeling more comfortable. And so it translates into spiritual work as well, of like it allows the conversation to flow to really receive. So I just had to play around with the connecting to the chakras because it's the thing that I'm like people roll their eyes with me, but I'm like, please do it. It's if your energy isn't flowing, you're gonna really struggle and you're gonna start
Yeah.
doubting yourself because you're gonna be in your mind, not in your actual flow of energy.
And it's helped me a lot too. I make sure I do that every single day because working around so much energy in the healthcare field, I come home and I can feel so heavy from people's energy. And I'm realizing more how much of an empath I am and how much energy I take on from others. And I actually took on another thing you taught me is the mirrors, placing mirrors
Yeah.
around me before I leave the house so people's energy deflects off mine and I don't
Yes.
take it as my own. I'm learning to really protect my energy because if you don't, I mean, I've seen firsthand how sick it can make you if you take on somebody else's energy.
100%. I'll get, if I don't constantly clear my energy. So that's the thing with being an empath. I'm a physical and emotional empath. So with energy, I physically feel it as pain, and I also feel it as the emotion in my body can shift. And so if I'm not constantly clearing it throughout the day and making the choice to clear it, if I have been talking to someone who's really struggling, my throat will swell up so much that I can't swallow and I'll start drooling. And as soon as I clear the energy, it will literally, choop, I'll feel it drain down and I'll be normal again. So it's so imperative to understand how our bodies hold on to energy, especially the most empathic people are usually nurses. They're in healthcare. Work with people all the time who are in healthcare because usually our trauma and our experience and our desire for life to be more stable through when like our own growth experiences growing up usually lead us to be nurses, social workers, therapists, other things like that. But it also means that we are always scanning our environment and it's always moving through us. And so we are often the ones with the autoimmune, with the illnesses, with the sicknesses. And it can lead you to feeling like you're always taking care of others and your body's getting beat up. And so, a big thing is that exactly what you're saying is how to protect your energy by constantly clearing it. And something that I like to do, I wonder if you do as well, is your main ability. So, since you're a clairvoyant, is I recommend people to use their main ability to constantly be clearing. So I would perceive as if I was a clairvoyant, I would be creating a river of energy that's flowing through me and set the intention that when like the energy of another person comes in, it automatically flows out of me like it's a river rushing. If I am a clairaudient person, I would be speaking it into existence while I'm speaking to the person who's going through something, saying, their energy releases right out. I don't hold on to anything. I don't hold on to anyone else's energy that isn't mine. And it's so crazy how, especially as empaths, you'll go from night to day. As
Oh
soon
yeah.
as you're like, let me release it. And you're like, oh, I feel like I look like I'm raised from the dead because I'll be like this and just be so down and I'll be fighting it for like an hour. I'm like, is someone's energy in my field? Yes. And then it's like, I've been brought back to life and everything's gone. Do you ever feel that like extreme shift?
Oh yeah. My husband and I, we went to a flea market in Daytona
Oh,
Beach, and after 2 hours, I was like, I've got to go. I don't feel good. I feel like I'm getting sick. I felt I had the flu coming on.
yep.
And I said, nope, this is not my energy. I got to drop it within an
Mhm.
hour. And for me too, I have to move. If I'm
Yes.
staying still, I still feel sticky. So I move, I started cleaning and just imagining white light flowing through me and just cleaning it out. With after I was done cleaning, I felt back to myself.
Isn't that amazing? Cleaning does that for me as well. I think as a clairsentient, as a person who like quantumly feels, and then as an empath, as a like a true feeler of energy, that is one of the greatest modalities is to move the body when even when you feel like you can't connect in with spirit. The people who are feelers like you are and like I am, it's like move your body. It's like you have to dance and kind of sway and sing. clean and organized, and the energy follows your physical movement. So if there's overwhelm, to move it out of you is something. So like when I'm in session, I'm like moving my hands down here. I'm showing myself like swiping away energy. The client doesn't see it, but I constantly am moving it. So I think that's really good too, is to pay attention to, once you know how your psychic abilities work or what your predominance is to then utilize that in your constant clearing of energy so that you don't hold on to it. Because an empath's always going to be an empath. We just need to learn how to release the energy and not hold it. Um,
Yes.
and so, with this new venture that you're going on, if someone, because I have a lot of people who reach out about medical intuition and that's a desire for them. If someone's interested in moving down this path and say that they are where you were at 2020, what would you say to that version of them, of you maybe, where you were in 2020, to another person right now who's like, I don't know if this will work. I don't know if I can trust myself. What would you guide them in?
I would guide them and say, you have to show up for yourself. You're being called to do something
Yeah.
great, and everybody's spiritually open. It's just, how open are you to accepting it? Some are not. I would just say, go for it. Trust yourself. Be your authentic self. That's the new theme that's been showing up for me lately, is just
Yeah.
stepping out, being who you are, being authentic to who you are, and watch the magic unfold. Honestly, it's, if you close yourself off and don't trust yourself, you're not going to see the magic that is around you, honestly. And just
Yeah.
for me, it took me a moment to be like, you know what? Just let it flow. I don't care how crazy it sounds. I don't care how crazy this looks, but I'm going to just do it. And when I do that, amazing things happen. My energy feels better. I feel happier. I don't feel like I'm stuck in this loop. And just never give up.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward and keep learning. Whatever's meant for you is going to come for you, and you will find the right people to guide you along the way.
Yeah. What do you wish that you had known at the beginning of your journey then that might have saved you some heartache, even though, of course, I don't believe in that. I believe that everything happens for a reason. But what do you wish you go, oh, I just would have remembered this in the beginning?
Honestly, I look back at all my traumas and everything I've been through, and I'm thankful for
Yeah.
that, because it's led me to the person I am today. My biggest challenge, I would say, is softening my energy because of those traumas. I'm stuck in a masculine energy all the time, and
Yeah.
I'm really trying to soften to the feminine energy, and I'm really working on that now. So it's just knowing that it's okay. Everything
Yeah.
you've been through, and it's okay. There's a way to learn from each of those experiences, and it's okay because it's made you who you are, and those experiences help you later on to help other people go through that.
Yeah.
And never be ashamed of what you've gone through. Just use that as, okay, how can I help somebody today? That's why we're here, is to help people. And I try to take all my traumas, what I can, and try to help people shift out of that, not so much negative energy, but they're stuck in that one thought in their head. Shift them out of
Yeah.
that energy.
Yeah, that's so important. There's so many people who I work with who are at that stage where they're like, I want to go more into my divine feminine. I hear about softening, I hear about this, but I don't know what that looks like or even how to practically start. And so I love that you brought up like to not judge any part of your story and to actually look at it as a perspective shift of how can I utilize this to help someone else. Is there anything else that you would say that you're starting to do or that you're in the process of doing that is giving you a more of a sense of a softening and surrender into that someone could practically take from this session, well, from this
Yeah.
conversation and use?
Take 5 minutes. It doesn't take much time each day to focus on yourself. Life gets so busy, you get stuck in the everyday mundane tasks. Go sit outside 5 minutes, put your feet on the ground, just close your eyes and take some deep breaths. Whether you want to meditate or whether you want to do a chakra balancing, if I'm still busy, I at least take 5 minutes to myself, put my feet on the ground, and just do some breath work.
Yeah.
Focus on my heart and just imagine golden light going into my heart to soften that energy from the day. Because during the day, we put on this persona, we've got to get this done, that done. you forget about yourself in the shuffle of the day. So even just taking 5 minutes means a lot.
Yeah. No, I think that's beautiful. And it's not 5 minutes of let me get all of the answers in the world. It's not 5 minutes of let me try to figure out life's mysteries. It's like 5 minutes just to reconnect. And that is so loving and dropping into the heart out of the mind. There is a very masculine meditation where people are just in their third eye, trying to receive, trying to be strict. And it's more, can I just receive through the heart and be present with myself? And to know that is holy. And I really believe that that is the softening that can start to happen when we step into our spiritual awakening, because so many of us are used to being the ones to do for others. It's just
Yep.
it's part of the starter pack of the
Yep.
intuitive. It's the empathic, overwhelmed, traumatizing childhood in some way or another, maybe some abandonment there, not knowing how to be ourselves, and everyone kind of has different variations of that. Then you add in the autoimmune, the job of which we give to everyone else and our children and the people around us. And it's learning how to shift into that sense of this is beautiful to connect into just for me, and not try to receive any answers, but just to say that connecting with me is holy and beautiful. And that was something I had to learn as well, rather than what can I learn so I can help someone else. It's like, God, what can you just chill for a second? Can you just
Yep.
be with yourself for a second? Can you not have to be so good and say, let me solve someone else's problem, but just sit in your own heart? That is difficult for people who have found their worth through how good and how much they can help other people, which was my story, and which I think is a lot of people's story. And that balancing act is what opens us up to more abundance, and it opens us up to helping and serving people in more of a balanced and really magnetic way. And it really feels like that's what you and the partner that you're working on with right now is really doing. Um, and it's just amazing. It's so cool to just see this transition from open up your chakras, let's meet your guides, let trust your psychic abilities, to now you're like creating your own curriculum for people to go through that isn't just like how to tap into your intuition. Even though that's good, it's so like specialized, it's so unique to your
Yes.
experience. And so I just want to honor that, and the time that you put forth into it, and the willingness to meet yourself. If people are interested, Kiara, in connecting with you and what you are creating, what would that look like? Where would they need to go, or how would they reach out to you?
I have my page on Instagram, Soul Body Alchemy Wellness. I have a link on my page that they can go on and schedule. I have appointments open. Currently, I am doing virtual, and I'm also doing in person at Zen Space.
If there was one piece of advice that you want to leave people with before we end this conversation, what would it be?
Don't be scared to be your authentic self.
Love that. Don't be afraid. Step into it, because it just, in watching you just blossom so much, it's been so beautiful to experience. I will make sure to put links in the show caption so that people can connect with you, your gifts and medical intuition. Until next time, stop trying to be spiritual.